No question about it. If you've done your presentation correctly and you've answered the questions right, they're going to say, hey, you seem like a great company. Well, how about the spec? Do you like the specifications that I laid out for you? Because maybe they didn't. So you're uncovering what might be wrong. Maybe they turn around and say, you know what? I have no idea what I'm really supposed to do. I don't understand why I need all this ventilation in this house now. The house has been here for 35 years. I've never had any of this before, and now all of a sudden you're telling me I need all of that. Well, you may have to go back, and in your product presentation, you may not have done such a great job of explaining what the code requirements are now. Because the code requirements are a whole lot different today than they were 35 years ago. I mean, you just had a presentation on the new code requirements, and him telling you they keep changing, right? So you may have to do a little bit more educating. But the bottom line is then you'll get into the price questions. Do you think the price is reasonable? That's where, if you've done your job correctly, you're going to hear, no, price is too high. I've got prices half your price. And then we just teach you how to handle those. It's not difficult. It really isn't hard. There's only 3 objections someone can give you. If it really come down to it, there's only 3 things someone can say to you. Your price is too much, I need another price, or I need to think about it. Can anybody think of something else that someone could actually say to you? Because I can't. So as long as you can learn how to overcome those 3 objections, it's pretty easy to close a job, close a sale. And we teach you how to do that. So these are the different pieces of the puzzle, the basic buying motives: fear, gain or loss. Now you have to understand the human brain here, okay? People are motivated more from fear than they are from any other emotion. That's just the way we're wired. Anybody watch that show Brain Games? If you haven't, go online. I think it's on Nat Geo channel. Great show. And it talks about all these things with the brain. We are hardwired as human beings to do everything out of motivation of fear and loss, not out of gain. And most of us are selling thinking that people want to gain something. They want something out of, to get ahead or something. That's not motivating people to buy something. You gotta focus on uncover what's their fear and overcome their fear. Pride is a motivator, and imitation is a motivator. So when we talk about that, the fear, maybe it's out of leaks, maybe it's out of mold growth, maybe it's out of getting sick. I mean, there's all kinds of fears that people have, especially having to do with their roofs. Maybe it's, in my area, because houses are so old, people are worried about it caving in. I mean, we had 65 inches of snow a few years ago. It's the greatest thing that ever happened. It was so fantastic because they had on the news that your roof's going to cave in. It was wonderful. We sold $10 million in 4 months. Never sold so many roofs in my life. But that motivates people. Might be financial for either a gain or to avoid loss. They might have self-esteem, pride in their home. They just might want to keep up with the neighbors. Yeah, that's a motivating factor. But you've got to uncover the power buying motive, and the power buying motive separates everything else, all the other motives. This is what causes people to select a specific contractor at a higher price and rejecting the lower price contractor. And that buying motive is confidence. You have to be able to build trust and confidence. If someone has trust and confidence in you and in what your recommendations are, they will buy from you regardless of what your price is. People will justify it. I mean, think about it. How many of you have made a purchase of anything? I don't care. It doesn't have to be a roof. It doesn't have to be home improvement. And justified why you bought it. I've done it a bunch of times, much to my wife's dismay. I mean, 10 years ago, I have 2 kids. My son's 19, my daughter's 16. 10 years ago, I bought a 2-seater convertible, hardtop convertible. It was insane. I had a 9-year-old and a 6-year-old. And here I'm driving around in a hardtop convertible sports car. I couldn't even get them in the car. You'd have to chop their legs off to put them in the back seat. It was stupid, but I justified it a million ways to Sunday. You know, I mean, people do that. So how do you build confidence? In order to build confidence in yourself, in you as the salesperson, you have to think of yourself more as a doctor, not as a contractor. Think about how a doctor, most doctors can diagnose you over the phone. They don't need to see you. But would you have confidence in them? You probably wouldn't. I mean, sometimes you just want the antibiotic, so you call up and you'll say whatever you have to say. But for the most part, if you don't know what's wrong and you just called the doctor, how many times have you talked to a doctor and said, I don't feel well, this is going on, this is going on, oh, you have this. Do you really believe them? I mean, I know I don't. And they know that. And there's a reason why when you go in the doctor's office, they have all the degrees all over the wall, and they do that on purpose. So you'll build some trust and confidence in them. That's what you have to do. So you have to ask questions. You have to diagnose the problem. If you don't sit and ask the questions, and I know most of you, I can go out to a house and look at a roof. I can look from the ground, from the street, and know exactly what's wrong. I can look at it and say, man, I can see the flashings aren't done right. Probably 90% chance it's not nailed correctly. But if I said that to somebody from the ground, you know what they think? How the hell did he know? There's no way he knew. But I've been doing it for 30 years. I know what I'm doing. I've seen this 100,000 times. But unless you get up on the roof and you look at it and you do the diagnosis, they don't believe you. So you have to go through those motions. You just have to do it. It's doing the right thing. Dress is to me, this is a big thing. Your appearance is a huge, huge deal. I mean, I've had salespeople show up, they show up. In my company, no jeans. The jeans are not allowed. You can't wear jeans. You can't wear, you can wear sneakers when you get up on the roof, but you better not show up to the homeowner wearing sneakers. You better be changing your shoes. So every salesman carries an extra pair of sneakers in their car, and they wear shoes. Number one, I don't want them walking on the roof and then walking in the house. I've paid for carpet cleanings. Look, my wife is a little bit anal when it comes to that stuff. You come in my house, you take off your shoes. Because to her, it's disgusting. You're walking around outside. Some of you walk into public bathrooms. Come on, guys, you walk up to those urinals. You know what you're standing in. And then you want to walk into a house and just walk through the house? It's nasty. I never thought twice about it before. But then I hear that from my wife, and I go, she's right. And when we had little kids, my little kids are crawling on the floor. I don't want them crawling on the floor with that nonsense. So if somebody comes in from, especially a salesperson or a service technician, I don't want them walking in with their nasty boots and shoes. Change them. And make sure you're wearing socks that don't have holes. Doesn't look good. I mean, we laugh about this stuff, but you wouldn't think about that, right? But the homeowner might. Don't smoke a cigarette right before you get out of your truck to walk up to the front door. It's just the way it is. You can't do that stuff. You can't be offensive. We went to, at one point, I was making the salespeople wear ties. 10 years ago, 10, 12 years ago, I made every salesperson wear a tie. They got so upset because they were climbing in attics and they were like, oh, getting everything all dirty and stuff. Yeah, but you're making $120,000 a year. Go clean your clothes. You weren't making that before. But then I eased up on that, and basically it's just a polo shirt, khakis, choose. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to be set up in a suit and wear blue suede shoes or whatever, that kind of thing, but you do need to look good. You don't have to do that, but it helps. It creates a different experience for your customer. Show up on time. Your vehicle needs to be clean. It's amazing what a clean vehicle does. First of all, what it does to the salesperson's self-esteem. Them driving around in a nice vehicle, clean, decal, it's lettered correctly, it looks good, they don't drive like crazy men. And show up on time. I talked about showing up on time. How much time do I have left, by the way? Okay. I'm going to go fast. How to build confidence in your company. Show pictures of your jobs. Show videos of your projects. Funny thing is, I used to show before and after pictures, and 2 weeks ago, we had a conference, a CCN conference in Tampa, and Frank Istueta's company was on a panel discussion. And they talked about how, and I hope you don't mind me telling them this, it talked about how most customers don't really care about the during pictures. And we used to show lots of pictures of our guys working and stuff, but they like the real nice pictures. So just in the last 2 weeks, I had all my guys, I changed our whole answer book, and I took out all the before, not the before pictures, but the during construction pictures. And I put all really nice, the before and the really nice pictures afterwards. And it's actually, the response has been pretty dramatic, just in 2 weeks. So something to think about. You can learn new stuff all the time, and to me that was a big thing. Insurance certificates. Just telling people you're insured isn't good enough. Showing them the insurance certificate means a lot. Showing them who to call to verify that the insurance is legit means something. Because nowadays with computers, you can make anything. I mean, I can make an insurance certificate, and I can make up a company in insurance with Adobe. I mean, it's easy. So you got to call the agent, and we tell people that. Licenses. Florida, that's a big deal, right? I mean, you got to have the right licenses. You can't just be any, and that's the same thing in my area. You just can't be a roofer. You've got to have the right licenses. List of satisfied customers. I take this a step further and say you need to show your entire customer list. Now, I've been in business for 25 years, 26 years. We have a lot of customers. We do between 500 and 1,000 customers a year. That's a lot of customers. And when I first heard this, because we used to give out like a list of 10 or 12 people that were satisfied that we use as references. And when we started this process, we were told, use your whole customer list. That's a lot. I mean, but the funny thing is we have it on an iPad now, but we also have a hard copy in a big binder. And it's pretty dramatic when you pull out a binder with 20,000 names in it, because it's like that thick, and it's a big binder, and you just plop it on the table. There's a list of our satisfied customers.